There is a number sitting somewhere in your life that you probably do not look at very often. Because every time you do, something in your chest tightens. It is the number that is supposed to carry you through the last 20 or 30 years of your life. The number that is supposed to mean you never have to ask anyone for anything. The number that is supposed to mean you made it. Most people look at that number and quietly hope it is enough. Hope is not a financial plan. Going broke is never about the number being too small. It is never bad luck. It is never the economy. It is always the violation of the same 5 rules. Rules that have existed as long as money has existed. Rules the financial system profits from you not knowing. Once you see them, you cannot unsee them. Let us begin. Never let your liabilities outgrow your assets. I want to give you the simplest definition of going broke that exists. Going broke is when what you owe grows faster than what you own. That is it. That is the entire mechanism. Every bankruptcy, every foreclosure, every retirement that runs out of money 15 years too early traces back to that single dynamic. And here is what makes it so dangerous. It does not happen all at once. It happens in increments so small you do not notice until the gap is too wide to close. Let me show you how this plays out in a real life. 2 people, same income, same city, same starting point. Call them Thomas and Richard. Thomas buys a house at 32, stretches a little on the mortgage but feels good about it. Buys a new car at 35 because the old one needed repairs. Takes out a home equity line of credit at 40 to renovate the kitchen. Carries a credit card balance that never quite reaches 0. Every single one of those decisions felt reasonable. Every single one of them was sold to Thomas as a smart, responsible adult choice. By 55, Thomas has a beautiful home, a nice car, a renovated kitchen, and a net worth that is almost entirely locked inside an illiquid asset he cannot sell without becoming homeless. His liabilities have been quietly outpacing his assets for 20 years. He just never ran the numbers. Richard made different choices, not dramatic choices, quiet ones. He bought a modest house he could genuinely afford. He drove used cars and invested the difference. Every time his income went up, his assets went up first. By 55, Richard's assets are producing income. Thomas's assets are producing anxiety. The rule is simple. Before any purchase, any loan, any financial decision, ask one question. Does this grow what I own or what I owe? If the honest answer is what I owe, put it down and walk away. Most people cannot do this. Not because they lack intelligence, because the entire consumer economy is engineered to make owing feel like owning. A mortgage feels like ownership. A car loan feels like freedom. A credit card feels like purchasing power. None of them are. They are all liabilities wearing the costume of assets. The moment you can see through the costume, you have already separated yourself from the majority of people who will spend their lives building someone else's wealth while believing they are building their own. Rule 2. Protect the downside before you chase the upside. I built Bridgewater around one principle that most investors find deeply uncomfortable. It is not about finding the best opportunity. It is about surviving the worst scenario. Most people approach their finances in exactly the wrong direction. They ask, what is the best that could happen here? The correct question is, what is the worst that could happen here, and can I survive it? Here is why this matters more than anything else I will tell you today. Losing 50% of your money does not require a 50% gain to recover. It requires a 100% gain. Read that again. If you have $100,000 and you lose 50%, you have $50,000. To get back to 100,000, you now need to double what you have left. Not a 50% return, 100%. This asymmetry is the reason most people never fully recover from a financial setback. The math of loss is brutally unforgiving. And yet almost nobody builds their financial life around protecting against it. I call this the principle of asymmetric caution. You must be far more afraid of losing than you are excited about gaining. Not because gains are not important, because losses are mathematically harder to recover from than gains are to achieve. In practical terms, this means three things. First, never put yourself in a position where a single event can destroy you. Not one investment, not one income source, not one plan. Diversification is not a strategy for getting rich. It is a strategy for staying alive long enough to get rich. Second, always keep a cash reserve that covers at minimum 12 months of your expenses. Not 6 months, 12. 6 months is enough to handle an inconvenience. 12 months is enough to handle a catastrophe without making desperate decisions. Desperate decisions made under financial pressure are responsible for more permanent wealth destruction than any market crash in history. Third, never borrow money to invest. This one rule, followed without exception, would have saved more ordinary people from financial ruin than any other piece of advice I could give. Leverage amplifies both gains and losses. When you are right, it feels like genius. When you are wrong, it is permanent. And you will be wrong. Not sometimes, regularly. The question is only whether you survive being wrong or whether it finishes you. The people who never go broke are not the ones who made the best bets. They are the ones who made sure that no single bet could end the game. 3. Your income must come from is a word for a financial structure that depends entirely on a single point of failure. Fragile. When I study economic collapses, whether in individuals, companies, or entire nations, the single most common factor is concentration. Concentrated debt, concentrated assets, and most commonly, concentrated income. The average working American has one income source, their job. Everything in their financial life, the mortgage, the car payment, the retirement contributions, is suspended from that single thread. And they are one layoff, one diagnosis, one company restructure away from watching everything collapse simultaneously. This is not a worst-case scenario. This is a statistical inevitability for anyone who lives long enough with a single income source. The above-average person understands this intuitively and builds accordingly. They do not wait until the thread snaps. They add more threads while the first one is still holding. This does not require becoming an entrepreneur overnight. It does not require quitting your job or taking enormous risks with money you cannot afford to lose. It requires a shift in how you think about your time outside of your primary income. A dividend-producing investment portfolio is a second income. A rental property is a second income. A skill monetized on weekends is a second income. A small online business generating $300 a month is a second income. None of these are glamorous. None of them will make you rich quickly. But every one of them changes the fundamental architecture of your financial life. From fragile to resilient. From a single thread to a rope. I want to give you a number that matters here. Research consistently shows that households with 2 or more income sources have a dramatically lower rate of financial catastrophe than single-income households, even when the total income is identical. The amount matters less than the structure. A rope made of 3 thin threads holds more weight than a single thick one, because when one thread frays, the others hold. Start building the second thread today, not when you have more time, not when things settle down, today. Because the first thread never feels like it is about to snap right up until the moment it does. Rule 4. Understand the difference between price and value. This is the rule that separates people who build lasting wealth from people who spend their lives transferring it to someone else. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. They are almost never the same number. The financial industry has spent decades training ordinary people to focus entirely on price. Lower interest rates, better deals, bigger discounts, what something costs, not what it is worth, not what it produces, not what it costs you over a lifetime. Let me give you the clearest example I know. A new car priced at $40,000 is not a $40,000 purchase. Accounting for depreciation, insurance, financing costs, and the compound growth of the money you did not invest, that car costs most people north of $200,000 over a 10-year period. The price said $40,000. The value destroyed was $200,000. This gap between price and value exists in almost every major financial decision ordinary people make. The house that stretches the budget, the college degree financed entirely by debt, the whole life insurance policy sold as an investment, the annuity with fees buried in the fine print. In every case, the price was made visible. The value destruction was kept invisible. Training yourself to see value instead of price requires one habit. Ask not what does this cost today, but what does this cost me over time, and what does it produce over time? Assets produce, liabilities consume. The price tells you neither, only the full, honest accounting of value does. Warren Buffett, who I have disagreed with on certain things but never on the fundamentals, said it perfectly. Price is what you pay. Value is what you get. Most people pay prices their entire lives without ever once calculating the value. And they wonder, genuinely wonder, why the number in that account never seems to be enough. Rule 5. Make decisions with your future self in the room. Every financial mistake I have ever studied shares one characteristic. The person who made it was thinking about right now. Not about 5 years from now, not about 20 years from now, about today. This is not a moral failure, it is biology. The human brain is hardwired to overvalue the present and undervalue the future. Psychologists call it hyperbolic discounting. I call it the most expensive cognitive bias in existence. It is why people cash out retirement accounts early and pay the penalty. It is why people choose the lower monthly payment over the lower total cost. It is why people buy things they cannot afford because the consequence is invisible in the moment and the pleasure is immediate. The financial industry understands this perfectly. Every product designed to separate you from your wealth is engineered around this bias. 0% financing for 12 months. Buy now, pay later. Minimum monthly payments. All of them are selling you the present at the cost of your future. And your brain, acting exactly as it was designed to, accepts the trade enthusiastically every single time. The override is not discipline. Willpower is a finite resource and a terrible financial strategy. The override is a decision-making framework. Before any significant financial decision, introduce your future self into the room. Not abstractly, specifically. Picture yourself at 75. Ask what that person needs from the decision you are about to make. Ask whether the thing you are about to buy serves them or sacrifices them. This sounds simple. It is not easy. Because your future self has no voice in the present moment, They cannot object, they cannot protest, they can only inherit whatever you decide to leave them. The people who never go broke are the people who learn to negotiate on behalf of a version of themselves that does not yet exist. They make the future self a permanent presence in every financial conversation they have with themselves. Every purchase, every investment, every loan. What does this leave for the person I am becoming? That question, asked consistently and honestly, is worth more than any financial advisor, any investment strategy, any tip or trick or market insight you will ever encounter. It is the final rule. And it is the one that holds all the others together. Let us bring this back to where we started, that number, the one that makes your chest tighten. I want you to look at it differently now, not with hope, not with dread, with clarity, because now you have a framework that most people will never have. Rule 1, never let your liabilities outgrow your assets. Every decision runs through that filter first. Does this grow what I own or what I owe? Rule 2, protect the downside before you chase the upside. Survival is the prerequisite for everything else. You cannot compound what you no longer have. Rule 3, your income must come from more than one source. A single thread is always one bad day away from snapping. Build the rope while the first thread still holds. Rule 4, understand the difference between price and value. Price is visible, value is calculated. Most people only ever see the price. Rule 5, make decisions with your future self in the room. The person you are becoming has no voice today. You are the only one who can speak for them. These 5 rules will not make you wealthy overnight. Nothing honest will. But followed with consistency, they will do something far more important. They will keep you in the game. And staying in the game long enough, patiently enough, is the only way the math ever gets to work in your favor. I have watched people with half your income retire with more than twice your security because they understood these rules early enough. And I have watched people who earned more than they ever needed end up with nothing because they violated every single one of them. The difference was never the number. It was never the salary. It was never the opportunity. It was the rules. You have them now. What you do with them is the only question that remains.